can start now then.
Right. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? I'm here with Hank Jones, the illustrious Hank Jones, the man who took me on the meditation journey to end all guided meditation journeys. And it's been a while since we've had that adventure together. We've had a couple conversations in between, but this is a conversation that's long overdue. Hank is a fantastic guy, very interesting guy. A lot of things that he believes and thinks and knows correlate with what I know, and a lot of things that there's a lot of differences as well. So in many ways, we're hoping that this conversation could be an illustration to other people in the community of how we can talk and have conversations about these intimate spiritual topics and conversation points, and hopefully find some way to communicate where we get some real work done. They say don't mention politics and religion at the dinner table. Come on. If you can't talk about politics and religion at the
Right?
dinner table, that's no way to live. That's no way to be. If there's a problem with you can't talk about politics and religion at the dinner table, you got to find a new way to talk about politics and religion, right?
And I'm the totally the person who's already prepared with whatever he's going to say about whomever side I'm pushing for it or leaning towards, you know. So just in
Eh,
case the conversation comes up.
They listen. Well, we got to be honest with if people are bystanders. They got to know that we did this journey together, and we had a lot of conversation afterwards. And some of the conversation went very smooth, and some of the conversation we found ourselves with some stumbling blocks, some sticking points, where the way maybe that I processed things or understand things is different maybe than the way that you do. I know that I made the video about channeling that you contacted me afterwards and you were like, wait, hold on. And it kind of sounds like it threw you for a loop where you might have felt like, hey, you may have had some questions about how organic and authentic I was being in our guided meditation,
It
right?
was August of this year, August
Uh,
9th, when we did the session. Well, I think the first thing that sort of threw me is because when it started, you were sort of, it seemed to me from what I was listening to, the legitimacy of it and who should be able to do it and who should ask what particular type of questions or whatever. And I didn't have any problem with that. It's just that I was just thinking and I was just like, wow, I don't know if you remember in within the session that we did that you said you trans channel and you said you did a whole bunch of things that you didn't speak about. So I'm just thinking, you were, I mean, if in fact you were legitimizing uh, channeling or what have you, maybe you were doing it to yourself as well. But this is the most interesting thing about it is what I do has it's not channeling per se. Well, basically, let me just explain it. It's called guided visualization, and I called it a guided visualization session. I was trained through Dolores Cannon with quantum healing hypnosis therapy, but I don't really like any of those words. Quantum healing, I like that part of it. Hypnosis therapy, I don't like that part of it. Being in Houston, Texas, you have to be a PhD in order to say that you're a therapist or doing hypnotherapy, even though I have, like right here, you know, my certificate from going to the academy.
right.
Um, it says hypnosis therapy, but if you notice in Dolores Cannon's uh, commercial, she says quantum healing hypnosis technique because you can't use that word hypnotherapy. And they say I had a talk with Dolores Cannon's daughter Julia. She said that they're okay with the word hypnosis. They're not okay with the statement hypnotherapy because of what it entails. And so, but like I said, and not any having anything to do with that. For me, I don't like any of that. I don't like what hypnosis is. To me, hypnosis says that I'm modifying your behavior in order to get some particular outcome. That's not what I'm doing. I'm taking you
Right.
into what I call the dream state. I can take you via guided meditation. I could take you via guided visualization, or I can do the induction that Dolores Cannon had, like in her class. But I've been doing this 20 years before I heard anything about Dolores Cannon. And so when I heard about her particular technique, that's when I delved in. And then listening to you and listening to the different subject matters that you were speaking about, what was the most interesting thing about it is when I saw your channel, it had something to do with Corey Good, and I was listening in, and I was like, "Oh, that was really, really interesting." But I was also, but after that, within like days, all of a sudden, you go to me, "Hey, Hank, I saw your channel. I really like your stuff. Cool." And I was like, "Whoa, that was really fast." So of course, and I was listening. I said, "Okay, who is this Jew?" And not like in a mean way, but
No, yeah.
I work with the community, and I have for years. And according to Session, in my last life, I was a Jewish female in Auschwitz, but that's a whole nother story. But so, but and in jest when I say who is this Jew, but I'm listening to what you're saying. Something inside of me said, you know what? I need to do a session with this young man and give him a real experience. I said, when he has a real experience, I mean, because there's a lot of people out here who go and they take that course.
Right.
They pay I pay $700 for it in the beta stage. It's over $1,000 right now. Do you know what I mean? And so after having done it for so many years and they give you this forum for like 90 days where you can see what other people and they're asking questions, my first thought was, I thought that their questions were really, for lack of a better word, juvenile or even elementary. Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of their
Right.
thoughts and their beliefs and, how they came to conclusions or, it just was really off. And so
This would be the this would be the Dolores Cannon community, the
in,
quantum healing.
yes, within listening to the forum. So I just pretty much paid no attention to it. I was like, okay, that's really interesting, but it wasn't for me or whatever. And so, and whenever I do sessions, people are like, oh, they're so, people treat them like they're holier than thou or whoever you're connecting with. You should have all this reverence for. And I was like, well, I don't know why you think that. We're the ones who are brave enough to come down to physicality and lose our memory and engaged in this way. And they're what, talking to us either through dreams or through clairaudient or telepathy or all the different claims, channeling that people are saying or what have you. For me, having what I would do is past life on my friends for fun. For years, I read some books in the library. I wrote out my own inductions and I started trying them on my friends. I was very successful from the very first time. And so by the time I got to this whole Dolores Cannon thing, the only thing that was the biggest thing in my head was the healing aspect of it because it was looking at the whole process in a totally different manner. And so once I started it, and then of course I bought all of her books and I read maybe two of them. I sent one to Chicago to Shroomy. Hey Shroom, he's gonna see this. But and I was just like, man, she if she would have listened to what everyone else said, and back in the day when she was doing hypnosis with her husband in the military, and then she got involved with MUFON, when she started going into the somnambulistic level and everyone started talking about past lives and stuff, everyone at that particular time when she was a young lady was like, oh no, that's the scary part. You don't want to get involved with that. And Dolores is just like me. Oh no, don't tell me that. Now I want to know everything. And that's why I felt like we had
Right.
uh, things in common in a sense because she always said she wanted to know everything. And so when I started doing sessions after doing QHHT, I would do mainly my students, my friends here in my office right here. And And then I would just post them because I really had a desire for people to see that you're so much more than what they're telling you. And if it's one person, but when you have two and three and four and five, and they're telling you they're extraterrestrials, that they're going through the past or through the future and all these different things and all this information, I'm just sort of setting a quick background to why I started my channel. I started my channel, it wasn't the reason for these QHHTs. This happened in the process of it, and then I started just posting them because it was the thought that went into my head. And then so many people started really wanting to. It got all of a sudden everyone's paying attention, wanting to see what's going on. So then I decided to find one person that I would. I was doing them with several people, more than one, and you spoke about that when you saw me. Other people.
Right.
Um, and I would do students and then other students and other students. Then I found Lars. He's in Sweden. Well, he actually found me. We started talking. We started doing sessions. We ended up with 200 plus snippets of sections talking
Right.
to all these different people or what have you. You caught on to that, like a lot of other people, and you saw it, you thought it was really interesting. And then just listening to you and listening to some of the things that you say, I can tell you're a good guy, and I can tell you have great intentions, and I can tell that you're absolutely serious as unserious about the information and what you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear
And
you.
so I just knew, and then I was urged, Hank, you need to work on that one. I'm like, okay, you sure? I'm like, okay. I always listen to the voices in my head. Yes, I hear, I hear it. And so I said,
Listen, yeah,
okay. And so before you know it, here we are doing a session. You
there you
know,
go.
when you first got there, you went to like uh, Europe. You went to Russia, and you were
Yeah,
carrying children. First, you were carrying a young prince, and then you were taking a young baby from Russia to this other place, and then you ended up going into almost like the death process and coming to this. You're floating on a block, a square block, and you're butt naked, and there's a big huge white pyramid, and you're just like like, and your name was Mark, and you didn't remember that at
I
first,
remember
but then
that.
all of a
Yes,
sudden, oh
yes,
yeah, Mark, that
Capia.
was my name. And see, even then when you were back in time and you were just carrying on, and my in my mind I'm thinking, I wonder what he thinks about this now, because when I put you under, I don't even remember. I think I probably used three different types of inductions, and I just weaved them all together because they're all in my head, you know.
Right.
And but before you know it, you were just there. And I was like, oh, good, good, good. And it was really strong. And then at one point you said, and that's when I knew the conversation could go so much better than just me asking you questions and then interviewing like that. Because it's very totally interactive. People don't understand it. Oh, you have to ask the question and just shut up and wait. That silence would drive me crazy. I'm like, okay, let's go to the next room.
Right,
Look at
right.
you know what I'm saying? And
I hear
so
you.
all of a sudden, you're here comes this extraterrestrial. And I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, now either CW is lying, but I could tell you weren't lying. I could actually tell you weren't lying.
Right.
You
No,
know,
I wasn't.
I
Yeah, I
know you
mean,
weren't. And that's
yeah,
the best part about it was. And so now this will explain from what you started. Remember, we had this conversation about channeling and stuff. Like I already clarified, channeling and what we're doing is something totally different. And just
right.
to make it clear right now, I say whenever I induce someone, I'm going to take the easy route and say, I'm just inducing them into their dream state. And basically they go from rabbit ears to high cable all the way to the porn channels. You can get everything. The past, the present, the future, and parallel all simultaneously happening in the forever moment of now. You raise your vibration, you get a larger frequency bandwidth to relate with. That's what I told you when we started. I think because I told you that, you're like, okay, that sounds scientific enough for me to say, okay, I can trust you, Hank. Let's go ahead and do this. And we did it.
Right.
But here comes this extraterrestrial. You say, here comes a blue extraterrestrial. And he's short and he has three long fingers, but he has these long ass thumbs. But there were two opposing thumbs. And then you said he had this thing coming over his head, but it was attached with like, like fins on the top of
Yeah,
his
yeah,
head.
it was, yeah, it's
And
true. Yeah, it was
and he was a little shorter than you, and he was blue. And so I was like, okay. And then he said he was the greeter because if he were to tell you what his name was, your mouth couldn't form the words, the sound to enunciate it. And so I was like, oh, good, good, good. I was totally like in heaven with you because I know I said, oh, I got him now. He's already there. There's nothing he can do but either jump out of it afraid or just go
right.
with it. So then I get you to the hotel. And then, what was really, really interesting, and which is the part I totally, totally loved about it, is because when I asked you, I said, CW, uh, ask them, do they know what we're doing? And they were like, are you kidding me? Of course we know what you're doing. And then you said, so, do you think that we don't? And I was like, hey, I'm just making sure because I don't know. This is our first time. You know what I'm saying? This is our first time to memory that I've induced him. I may have done this multitudinous times throughout eternity in the forever moment of now. But in this particular moment, and then they go, do you know Hank? Of course we know Hank. How many times has Hank been through here? And every time you die, you know what I'm saying? And that was almost like a way station. I don't know if I'm sure you realize that, right? That big, huge pyramid that you saw,
But
It had
what do
the
I realize? This, not to interrupt you, because I mean, look, it is what it is, and I think it goes right to the core question that we came. The first question that came up with was my video on channeling. Was I saying things that quote unquote delegitimized our experience with the guided meditation?
But you hadn't channeled at all, remember? And even when I gave you the opportunity to channel, and I said, "Hey, would you like to have them speak through you?" He's like, "Hank, I don't have to." He says, "Even though I don't see them there right now because I'm not really focused on them, but their presence is there, and it's just coming right out of me. I'm connected that way." You said, "Oh my God, Hank, I have an epiphany. I just understood it. I just broke the barrier. I understand it all now."
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, I did. See, here's the question. So here's the question. Hank takes CW on a guided journey, a guided visualization using a combination of techniques that Hank has learned over years of experience of experimenting with visualization and induction,
And sound.
as well as the Dolores Cannon capstone of completing the QHHT training materials. So what happens during the session? So the question really is for me is I don't deny, and I'll tell people like that's what I effing saw. Like it wasn't. I could tell people that I know the difference between if I'm trying to improvise a bedtime story for my children. I'm aware of the mechanics of consciously inventing a story and saying to someone, and then a salamander showed up and said, "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Or whatever
Yes, it
you know what I
says. It
mean, whatever it
says.
is. And I'm like, so what when I think about the experience is that I say all these things happened, but it seems like where we it's like two people make love, right? And one person says that was a hell of a one night stand, and the other person says, I just met the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. This was amazing. Not to be so dramatic about it, but after we had the experience, it was very clear that the way that the boxes that I was understanding, or the terms and tags
That's
that I
okay. You
was
can
using
use
to
that
process the
analogy. Yes.
experience, and the terms and tags that you were using to process the experience, we were describing different worlds. And so then this comes to this question of is it possible for CW to have had all these sensory experiences that I had in session, but it not be the fact that what happened was I connected to the past, the future, the present, and all the possible realities. But what really happened was I bypassed the conscious mind, and through a process of induction and hypnosis was able to access and free associate from the subconscious dream state. And just like I dream, if I dream that I'm flying, does that mean that I have the ability to fly? Or does that mean that I can enter a state of consciousness called the dream state, wherein, because it's not mired in the physical real world, and because it's just the things of the mind, there are no rules of physics. You can fly.
I
You
know,
know what
but
I mean?
at the
You
same
can be
time,
chased by a
you have to
monster.
also apply them where they apply the rules where they apply. Third dimensionally in physicality, you cannot fly. You don't have wings on your back.
Right.
And you have to remember, like I told you the very first time we got together, everything is nothing but energy. This is a proven fact. Do you know what I mean? It's just a frequency bandwidth. This is a holographic universe in a sense, and the frequency bandwidth that you can hear, touch, taste, see, and smell and feel is one. But when you go to the dream state, when you raise the vibration, and now you can now see beyond the veil, through the veil, and now you can actually see past, present, future, and simultaneous happening. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where you can fly. Do you know what I'm saying? It's where you can fly. When you
Well,
say
look,
in my
yeah,
body, my physical body, no, unless you get inside of a plane, and then the rules of physics of third dimension of physicality. Yes, if you have to take a plane, or you have to get on a really, 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 really big bird who can track, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But so can you fly in this body? No. But can you fly out of body? Yes, you can. Can you visit? You did it. You actually did it. See, it's really interesting. Most science is all based on what you can prove. Do you know what I mean? But even when you go within yourself, but you, all right, so, okay, what you can prove, right? But you can prove that everything is composed of atoms. Isn't that what they teach you in science, right? Atoms,
Okay, yeah.
building blocks, split an atom, what do you get?
Explosion, right?
Explosion,
Yeah,
huge explosion, right?
the
Not a little
release of
tiny
energy. Yeah,
explosion, but boom. And that area will be affected for hundreds of years with the after effects of it, correct?
right,
But you have billions of those atoms which compose your body. Billions of them. Do you understand how you are energy condensed into mass times the speed of light squared, which is what Einstein's theory was? I mean, you are energy condensed into mass, and when you raise your vibration, the frequency bandwidth of that vibration, here, I'm awake, in beta, I see you, I see the computer, we're talking through this.
right,
I close my eyes, I take a deep breath, I relax. I am no longer focused. First thing when I close my eyes, it cuts me off to all this visual, this stimuli. Now
right,
I'm in my brain. And what I'm trying to do, I always say, I'm trying to get you into your right brain. Your left brain is your who, what, why, where, when. Your right brain is your creative side. That's where the music, that's where the joy, the passion, that's how you why you sort of lose time because you're having so much fun and all of a sudden you're dancing for 3 hours and you go, oh my God, I got here at 11, 12, 1,
right,
2, it's 2:30, it's time to go, last drink. You know what I'm saying? Like it's only you only felt like you just got there. But when you rise above that, that's what happens when you sleep. You know, you go to sleep, your body is what needs rest. Your soul or the consciousness that you are is eternal and immortal. And what do they say? Science also says that energy does you can't destroy it, but it just changes form.
right,
When they go, if you have a heart attack and you're lying on the ground getting ready to die, they don't come put gasoline in your mouth. They put what? Electricity onto your chest and they give you some voltage. And what does that voltage do? It kickstarts your heart and boom, 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 there's your beat back again. I teach anatomy and physiology. The first thing we teach them is everything is atoms. And then the molecules, and then cells in the tissues, tissues in the organs, organs in the systems, and then you have human organism, bird, cat, dog. But the bottom line is still everything starts off with the atom, which is nothing but energy. And if you
right.
condense this energy into mass, and it has a consciousness, so you can say you can't really prove that there's something that goes on beyond it, but I can put you in a state. I can raise your consciousness, get you, hook you on the cable by doing the session with you, and all of a sudden you were in front of a big pyramid and it was the in-between time and
Right.
you were checking in and there was another guy who just died and he was like, oh my God, what's going on? Do you think you were
I
shown
remember.
that?
Yeah,
but but
I could see it like as if I was seeing a memory.
but
Absolutely.
the thing about it is, do you think that that person there who was so discombobulated, do you think that that was just a random thing that you happened to see what was going on with that person?
I have no fucking idea. Hank,
I'm just asking you.
no, no, I'm giving you the most honest answer that I can is that I have no idea. So here's the question.
I'm
Here's really the
saying you it
question.
was on purpose. It was meant for you to see it, to really drive home as to where you were
Right.
and what you were
Well, I mean,
doing.
look, I mean, my my take on it is this: is that I know that I achieved what I was we started the session. My only fear was inauthenticity.
Yes.
That I would be pantomiming, that I would be acting, that I wouldn't be able to let my guard go down enough to beyond CW, beyond the Benjamin that is the guy behind CW, behind the guy
The
that
attorney, the
is the
brain,
guy
yes.
before Benjamin even exists. You're just trying to get to, and I feel like I achieved that. And then, but then the question is, okay, so for example, when we were talking after our session, we were having texts back and forth. One of the things that came up was you said to me, CW, I would love to take you to the moon so that you could see really what's there and what's going on. And I immediately thought to myself, okay, I understand that Hank has had enough sessions with enough people where he's accumulated a body of data about what the fuck's going on with the moon and what's happening there. And I
And
think,
not just that.
okay,
That's exhibit one. You can say if you want to put them, line them up. The other is all of the films, unless someone is just taking all their time to watch the moon and to see those things flying in and out and coming in groups or whatever, unless all of that is just all fake.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Plus, you have to remember, you see the orbs that are in my videos, the ones that fly in, fly around my hair, fly all the way to the other side of the room and fly all the way back and then fly off. And then one video after another video after another video. And then that one that comes up and shoots like lightning and shoots across. And then when I fall asleep and all of a sudden I'm sitting here talking to some 9-foot blue person that looks like a bird or blah, 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 goes on and on for years and years. I'm 52 years old right now. So it's not just a bunch of people talking about that. Now, in terms of, you have to put it all together. You have to put it all together, not just that, oh, okay, because all these people are saying it, all these people are saying it because I'm inducing them. I did the sessions with Lars and Lars says there's nothing there. But then I do another session with someone else and ask about what's going on with Lars. And they're like, well, he's afraid and he can't open himself up
yeah,
to that.
but that goes to the core of my feeling point,
Okay.
which was I immediately thought to myself, I said, well, what happens if Hank takes me to the moon? And I say, what I see there is a great big blue sapphire crystalline Indian chief smoking dubage with the ghost of Elvis, and they told me the eternal message is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for all.
Well, the first thing I would ask
Right?
is, for me, if you're talking to Hank, I mean, you can talk to a whole bunch of other people that may not have the wherewithal to ask the right fucking question when something like that comes. But I know what I'm going to ask. I'm like, well, is this happening? And what is this happening in the same timeline that I manifest physically as Hank and he's manifest as whatever? When is this actually happening? Is this, I mean, I'll ask if anything like
Right.
that comes up.